Hey there, we are coming on the air tonight with a catastrophic fire burning right here in Los Angeles. People are evacuating right now. Homes are burning. Cars are being abandoned in the street. Meanwhile, all across SoCal, everyone else is going into tonight nervously hoping that other fires don't start nearby because the dry, dangerous winds that we have been seeing throughout the day are getting stronger by the minute out here. And at some point, they will be hurricane strength. That catastrophic fire we're watching right now is the Palisades fire. They say it's more than 1,300 acres, but that number is very preliminary, especially since a fire's been growing by several football fields every single minute. That's been forcing mandatory evacuations for about 30,000 people. So many people rushing to pack up everything they can, trying to escape as smoke fills the air around them, and that has created a traffic nightmare as people scrambled, then panicked when flames surrounded their cars. Get this, at one point, the LA Fire Department had to use a bulldozer. That is an LA Fire Department bulldozer right there, clearing the cars off of Sunset. That's a very popular road here in LA, and those cars were abandoned when people got out, fled for their lives. Another scene a little bit down the way, you see it right there. Flames in that car, cars bursting into flames after they were abandoned. Just terrifying moments all across the Palisades area, and all that happening as people are evacuating. And it's not just one fire. There have been a couple fires breaking out throughout the day. That's what's so worrying about this entire situation at times in the middle of neighborhoods. Again, this is all being fueled by those Santa Ana winds that terrorize SoCal around this time of year. Dry conditions, we're seeing winds that could reach up to 100 miles per hour in some parts. And again, the threat is expected to only get worse tonight. This is happening in the Palisades, a neighborhood of about 20 miles west of Los Angeles, where our Liz Kreutz captured this moment a little bit earlier. Take a look at this.
Behind me, you can see this huge plume of smoke. There's a house up in flames. Let me turn it around. That is a house right now burning in front of us that just ignited moments ago. All of these cars here, almost all of these cars around me here are abandoned. People just got out on foot because of gridlock traffic as hundreds, thousands of people try to get out.
And Liz Kreutz joins us right now. Liz, where are you and what are you seeing?
Hey, Gadi, I mean, that just sort of explains what today has been like. One moment, you think you're fine, you got to a safe area, and then in an instant, an ember is blown, something ignites, and all of a sudden, a home, a palm tree is on fire. In fact, if you were watching just a little bit ago, we were live here about a mile north on the Pacific Coast Highway. We had to get out because things got so bad there with the flames jumping the Pacific Coast Highway, getting to the coast. Palm trees ignited on the coast, and cops came through and told people to get out. And you can see behind me why. That is that massive plume of smoke from the flames that have been pushed towards the coast just in the past hour. At times, the winds have been so strong, it's felt like we've been pushed over. They've died down just slightly right now, but they're just going to continue to pick up as the flames are pushed towards the coast. And the gentleman, I can just tell you, it's really traumatic. I mean, there was a gentleman that was just here where we are in tears, hysterics, because he went to work today in downtown LA, left his dogs in his home in the Pacific Palisades. He got wind of the evacuation orders. He said he tried to get here by his car. He could not, so he got out and rented a bike, he said, to get to this location. And now there's road closures and he can't get through. He just came to me, though, and said that the first responders who saw him went to his home and checked on his dogs. They are okay. But it's just that fear right now for so many people. And in that video you showed of me, Gadi, and our crew, my colleague Jim and I, my producer, we got stuck in that same gridlock traffic, and we were told we weren't going to go any farther because all those cars were abandoned. And moments after that, the bulldozer came and pushed those cars out of the way, which created a path for us to get through, which we were lucky. That's how we made it to the coast. But there was a moment when there were flames on either side of the road where we were. Thankfully, firefighters quickly came and put that out. But it's been a scary situation for us, for our crew, and for hundreds and thousands of people here in LA today, Gadi.
And Liz, did you guys fall all the way back to the beach? Where are you right now?
Yeah, we are on the beach. I can see the ocean. I mean, this giant plume of smoke, this is a parking lot of a beach. This is usually where people would come, tourists would come in LA to enjoy a beautiful day. And this is all the coast right here. It's jumped the PCH. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of wild to think beautiful LA, palm trees up in flames right now here on the coast.
And the people that were abandoning their cars, I mean, you were in the middle of all of that. At one point, you were surrounded by flames. What was going on? Were officials, were police going around saying, hey, you need to get out right now? Or was this something that, you know, somebody saw one person do it and then everybody took off on foot?
Yeah, I think that it's a combination of it. Where we were, Gadi, because again, we couldn't go we could hardly go anywhere. We were like inching along. So in our little area that we were around, nobody came to us and said you should get out of your car. In fact, if anything, once we saw flames on either side, we came up with a plan. We knew that we were about a half mile away from an area where there was a strip mall and a Starbucks. So we felt like if we really needed to, we were going to get out and we would walk on foot and get to that area where there's probably more defensible space for us. But actually, the firefighters came and knocked on our window and they said, you're going to be okay. It's going to be fine. We're here. Just roll up your windows and stay put. I think what happened is that maybe people had to get somewhere. Maybe, you know, people just were fed up. It was gridlock for hours. And so some people just said, I'm going to get out.
And Liz, I know that we've been hearing reports of people possibly trapped inside. Any word on rescues going on tonight?
You know what we do know right now, Gadi, we have gotten reports of people trapped. It is all still very much unfolding right now as we continue to learn the magnitude of this. The one good news we have right now from officials at that press conference is they said that right now there are no reports of injuries. Again, we haven't been able to get into all of the affected areas, but right now that is a really positive development and actually pretty remarkable that they're saying that, just given how big this fire is, how fast it grew, and how quickly people had to get out.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a testament also to some of the firefighting that we've seen. It's incredible to see air attack coming in, the structural protection whenever they could. What have you seen firefighters do out there?
Yeah, I mean, it's been everything. They put all the resources to it. We knew going into this, Californians, and you know this, Gadi, now, after years of really, really bad fires, are actually really prepared, right? We know when a red flag warning is coming to be prepared, to have a go bag, and fire officials are also prepared. And ahead of this wind event, they sent in extra resources to these areas. And so they have been able to get in here. With airdrops. We have video from the fire that ignited on Sunset Boulevard in West Hollywood, a totally separate fire, through LA, a helicopter coming in and doing an airdrop. When have you seen that? I mean, pretty remarkable. That said, there were a lot of challenges for first responders today because of the gridlock. They themselves were not able to get through because at times people were using, going both directions down one way, so first responders couldn't get to the places they needed to get to, which created a challenge. But again, as you say, Gadi, it's remarkable to see all them, the truly heroes. Even the fact that they took the time to come up to this gentleman here who was in hysterical tears about his dogs and said, don't worry, we'll go check on them for you. And they just called and told him they're okay.
Yeah, a little bit of good news out there. Liz Kreutz out there along the beach. I'm glad you're safe. Liz, thanks so much. We'll be checking back with you in a little bit. Let's bring in our national climate reporter, Chase Kane, who's also out there. Chase, it seems like you're over there on PCH as well. What are you seeing?
Gadi, we're just a little north of Liz. We're at Sunset Boulevard and the Pacific Coast Highway, pretty well-known intersection. This is also kind of a wind funnel. So if you've certainly covered tropical storms and hurricanes, it feels a lot like that because we're having to just plant ourselves because when these wind gusts come through, it can truly knock you off of your feet. I'm going to step out of the way, though, so that we can zoom in here. You're looking south down the PCH towards Santa Monica, and you can see that the flames are reaching all the way to the Pacific Coast Highway. Again, this is just south of Sunset along the PCH towards Santa Monica. If it was not so thick with smoke and getting dark, you would be able to see that iconic Santa Monica Pier with the Ferris wheel off in the distance, but instead we are seeing flames burn all the way to the beach. And again, a very popular, densely populated part of Los Angeles. It is an eerie feeling here, Gadi, after having covered many wildfires living in Los Angeles for a number of years, that, on one side of me, I'm hearing fire alarms going off from these condo buildings that are alongside the Pacific Ocean. The power has been cut off in this area. And then we get sort of a wave of cars that are coming. This is Sunset Boulevard. They're coming down Sunset as police and firefighters go through and kind of do their final sweeps and see, if people were not able to get out of their homes earlier, if they've been sitting and waiting in their cars, they're going through and grabbing sort of groups and cars and escorting them out. We're hearing another fire truck come down through here as well. But again, because of the way that Sunset and Topeka Canyon sort of funneled down to the ocean, it creates a wind tunnel. So it helps these winds accelerate. That is what is making this such a particularly dangerous situation, as the National Weather Service calls it. Again, more fire trucks coming down here because they're trying to chase these embers. They're trying to chase these hot spots as they pop up. Just a little while ago, LA police came through and said that there was a mobile home park where one of those embers had blown down the hill and had caught fire right next to these mobile homes, and they were doing their best to get people out quickly. Now these fire trucks are going north up the PCH toward Malibu. The Gadi Villa is also just around this corner, another well-known landmark here in Los Angeles, Gadi. So it's difficult to keep track of all of these fires that pop up as another gust of wind comes through there. Certainly, my photographer, Sirkan, and I are trying to have to stabilize ourselves because you can feel just how strong these winds are, Gadi.
That is remarkable. And I think what you're saying is behind you is Sunset. That means that fire that you were showing just down the way, which is kind of by an Irish pub, if I remember correctly, it's jumped Sunset. The fire has jumped Sunset, and so it's burning up in the hills, and it's also burning on the other side of Sunset. Is that right?
I believe so, Gadi. It's a little hard to tell because, this part of Pacific Coast Highway, there's a lot of parking lots, beach, but there are occasionally buildings, beach huts, restaurants. We're near Gladstone's restaurant is actually where we are, if you're familiar with the area. So it's hard to tell because the smoke is so thick, but it does appear that, yes, that fire down in the distance towards Santa Monica, if it hasn't jumped the Pacific Coast Highway, it's burning right along the PCH,
wow.
Gadi.
And traffic has been horrible throughout the day. Throw evacuation orders in, throw a PCH in, which is, it's a choke point. It's a very hazardous choke point anytime you see a disaster like this. What's it been like throughout the day?
Yeah, Gadi, they closed these roads hours ago. I found out later I was actually not far behind Liz Kreutz when she and her producer got stuck in that area. So I also had to get out and make my way on foot. By the time I was walking down Sunset Boulevard, it was that scene that felt sort of like something out of The Walking Dead because dozens of cars have been abandoned on Sunset Boulevard and firefighters are going through looking inside the cars to make sure that no one was still in there because there were flames burning along Sunset. On the other side of Sunset, there were cars that had already burned, so they're just trying to make sure that no one's in there. Again, the traffic, PCH is closed, Sunset is closed as this wind picks up again. The traffic that you're seeing is either emergency vehicles or it's personal vehicles as police, as emergency crews go through and sweep people and say, hey, you got to get out of here. This is not a safe place to be. So any traffic that you see is someone evacuating. These roads are not open, Gadi.
And Chase, walk us through the trifecta that we're seeing here. We're seeing strong winds. We're seeing like the worst kind of topography, and we're also seeing dry conditions, right?
Yeah, so to zoom out sort of metaphorically for a moment, I mean, it's been more than 8 months since we're very.
It looks like we might have lost. It looks like we might have lost Chase Kane here, and we're going to try to establish our connection with Chase Kane. But if not, I believe NBC Los Angeles has been doing incredible work out there along the fire lines as well. If we can't get Chase Kane back on the line, is there any way that we can dip into KNBC's coverage, NBC Los Angeles, as they have been with? And what you're hearing right now, that is KNBC's coverage. We're going to dip in and let you listen to what they're seeing out on the fire lines as well.
Throughout the day, that the winds are going to get stronger and more intense as the day goes on, and I can tell you right now, just standing out here over the last 30 minutes, the winds have definitely intensified. You can see the thick black smoke that is coming here on Telem Way, but thankfully it appears a large majority of the people who live here have evacuated and have listened to the orders. I do want to say, in driving around over the last hour, a large majority of the homes that we saw were saved by the firefighters, at least right now. But unfortunately, there are the homes like this one, and I witnessed myself at least a handful. So these firefighters right here aggressively fighting this, and we'll bring you the latest as we have it. Look at that ember right there.
Boy, and that's some of what we've been talking about, the spotting. That one didn't go far. I mean, that blew off that house just a few feet. But with winds like this, you can see spotting for several miles ahead of the fire, and it's why we're seeing the fire reaching across PCH, across Pacific Coast Highway, all the way to the beach tonight. Our Melissa McGee is here with us right now. She's here to talk about some of the winds. And again, the worst is not here, according to the forecast.
That's what we've been saying.
That is NBC Los Angeles here showing us what's going on the fire lines as well. They have teams all throughout Pacific Palisades. We have teams all throughout PCH as well. So we are going to be dipping back into coverage. But I do want to turn to NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns to kind of set the scene for us. Bill, if you can, map out for us where we saw Liz, where we saw Chase Kane, and what are the biggest threats as we head into the next few hours?
Yeah, Gadi, those pictures we just showed there up where that house was on fire, I mean, those winds looked like they were gusting 50, maybe 60 miles per hour. I'm amazed that the firefighters aren't just pulling out. I mean, that they're sitting there trying to even fight these fires and protect homes in these winds. I mean, how incredibly brave and just humbling to watch them do something like that and sacrifice their own lives. I mean, this is as dangerous as it gets. You know, as Chase was saying before his signal went off, it hasn't rained in 8 months. The winds are going to gust tonight 80 to 100 miles per hour. And we've got already a huge blaze, and new ones could form. It's as dangerous as it gets, and that's what we were saying yesterday. That it's been a year since we've seen a setup like this, and unfortunately, a fire did form. And if any others form, it could copy what this one did during the day today. And we're starting to see more and more pictures like this of what used to be structures, most likely a home, where now there's just nothing left. And that's going to feed other fires. When these winds get in there and pick up those embers, that's happened all day long, and it's going to be even worse tonight. And that's why that fire, as they were saying, it's all the way down to the ocean, to the Pacific Ocean, from the hilltops to all the way down. It took less than about 9-10 hours for it to do that. So let me go to the maps and kind of just orientate you on what you're looking at and what areas are burning and who doesn't have to worry about this. Here's downtown Los Angeles. LAX is located right here. This is where the fire is located. This plume, by the way, normally this is our radar. The radar beam, as it scans the sky, picks up the particles in the air that are in that dense smoke cloud, and that's what you're watching. And I was noticing it shifting a little bit, and so we can kind of see the wind shifts. And if the wind is shifting a little bit more towards the south or to the west, that means the fire is probably going to be changing the direction that it's burning into. So here's a close-up view of this is the area that has burned so far. So Chase, we're watching him. The Pacific Coast Highway is right here. This is Sunset just to the north here. So we're watching Chase right about in here. And so you can see he had active flames that were down by the coast. So some new areas are burning here. The fire started here. These little orange arrows show you the directions of the wind, and that's why they were spotting and spreading. It's not like a wave, like a tsunami wave. It hasn't just started here and gone straight to the coast. It's been hit and miss all the way down. And as we go through the night, that's going to continue. So more and more of this will be filled in. And some of this could try to head towards Topanga Beach as we go throughout the evening, too. That's why I was watching that little wind shift. If we start getting, instead of a north wind, more towards a northeast wind, that fire could drive a little bit more west towards the coast. There's no signs that the winds are going to back and this head towards Santa Monica or L.A. That's not going to happen. And even that dense smoke cloud is not going to head for downtown L.A. Tonight, though, winds gusting 80 to 100. Relative humidity extremely low. That means the fire can just burn really quickly. Everything's as dry as it could be. And that's what we call explosive fire growth. The winds right now, LAX 41, Van Nuys about 32. So with Santa Ana's at 46. So the winds are picking up, but we still expect it to be even worse tonight. These are the predicted winds as we go throughout the overnight. Downtown LA 63, Malibu up to 74. So we're going to get wind damage. I mean, even without the fires, we're going to get trees down. Power lines are going to come down. And if the power lines weren't turned off, they have the possibility of sparking new fires. And so the fire map it looks like this. Anywhere in the critical risk, red, which goes anywhere from Montecito all the way back down here south of towards San Diego up in the mountains. But it's this pink area here, Gadi. This is what we call an extreme wind warning, extreme fire threat. We're only supposed to get these once every 4 to 5 years. This is our third one in the last 5 months in Southern California. It needs to rain. This fire season is just endless now in Southern California.
Yeah, we need it so bad. We're actually right now, we're in the middle of that red dot, the red blob that you have up. I just heard a plane fly over. We're under the Burbank flight path, and I know that the Burbank airport had a full ground stop a little bit earlier, but it does seem like the planes are landing. Is this a good sign, or is this just like a calm in the middle of this storm, and are the winds going to pick up out here towards Burbank, La Crescencia, kind of the outskirts of what you're showing there?
Yeah, I would guess that it was a pretty big jet, probably nothing small if it's, landing in these winds, but I wouldn't expect a lot. I've been watching some of our maps that actually, for CAL FIRE, it actually shows the assets that are flying in the air, like the airdrops and stuff. And they've had the big tanker out occasionally. They had some of the smaller scooper planes. The helicopters haven't really been able to fly. The winds have been too high. And you got it. The ground, in other words, the people on the ground are not getting a lot of support. It's just impossible with these winds. Bill
Cairns, thank you so much for keeping an eye on all this, and we'll check back with you in a bit. We're now joined by LA City Councilwoman Tracy Park, who joins us now. Tracy, thank you so much for being with us. We just heard Bill talking about something that is a notable absence in this fire, and that is the assistance of helicopters. Usually you see those helicopters hitting fire so hard. Right now, it's mostly been the super scoopers. But what's the biggest concern for you right now, and what's the progress like on the fire lines that you're at?
This is absolutely terrifying out here on the ground. I am on PCH just south of Temescal Canyon. The flames are roaring down the hillside. In some places, they have already traveled to PCH and crossed the highway and are burning trees here on the ocean side. Evacuations have been underway for multiple hours now. We are very, very grateful for the help, but I want to be very, very clear to people in the Palisades, this is not a drill. These are very, very dangerous circumstances, and with the unpredictable wind and the very dry conditions, this fire is growing and moving quickly. So when they are given an order to go, we are asking people to please
And it looks like we've lost the councilwoman. We'll try to establish communication with her. But as you can see, the communication, the infrastructure there is going down as we speak. We're monitoring so many different reports, and it's hard to really understand what's happening up on the hills. We understand the Gadi is nearby, and we are hearing that flames are possibly approaching the Gadi. The Gadi does not seem like it's on fire at this point, but it does seem like it is being imminently threatened. If we have NBC Los Angeles still up, and we can dip into some of their coverage, we might. Oh, we've got the councilwoman back. Councilwoman, thank you so much. Sorry about the comm situation here, but we were just talking about the Gadi. There's been a lot of concern about the Gadi. We understand that there are flames at least on two sides of it now. Do you have any update on what's going on to such a historic landmark up there?
So we have crews on the ground actively fighting the fire in the area. We are aware of the circumstances around the Gadi. Our partners at LAFD are doing everything in their power to protect property and, most importantly, lives right now. But there is no sugarcoating any of this. This is an actual emergency, and these are extremely dangerous.
Yeah, and it looks like we might have lost the councilwoman again. We'll try to reestablish the signal, but what you're looking at right there, that is the Pacific Palisades in California. As the sun begins to set here, you can still see those fires being fueled by the winds that are blowing, those Santa Ana winds. Those winds are blowing that fire towards the ocean, which is a good thing in certain places, but overall, it's also pushing the fire northward towards Malibu. So there is a lot of densely populated areas just about 15, 20 miles north of what you're looking at right there. But we also know that along that ridge, those embers have also made their way down across Sunset, and they have started to burn in the area of Santa Monica. And in fact, we actually have somebody out in Santa Monica that lives there that you see here on the show a lot, Dr. Akshay Sayal. Doctor, I mean, you weren't working with us today, and then all of a sudden, this happens right behind you. What are you seeing from your home there?
Hey, Gadi. So I'm here in Santa Monica, just a little bit south of the Pacific Palisades, where the epicenter of the fire is. You can actually see some of the fire here burning out of the corner of my screen. That's a close fire. Gadi, you see all this right here? That's all smoke. That's not clouds. So just a few hours ago, this was completely clear. So it's spreading quickly. It's spreading fast. I work at UCLA Health. We just got an email from our disaster emergency response preparedness, essentially saying, no threat to the Westwood campus at this time, but they are ready to act at a moment's notice. Gadi.
And is the orange glow over there on the other side of your screen? Are those flames that you can see in the ridge?
Yeah, correct. Those are the flames, and anecdotally, it seems like it is growing from what we've been out here for the past couple of hours. It does look bigger from where we're standing, but we'll of course defer to the experts on this. But yeah, those are the flames in the Palisades, Gadi.
Wow. And doctor, what's on your mind? What is top of mind for a doctor in these types of situations where so many other hundreds of thousands of other people are also breathing in this air and also panicking and wondering whether or not they should evacuate? What do you think?
It's those with asthma, those with lung disease, those with chronic disease like heart disease. We know that wildfire smoke, even if you aren't immediately in the Palisades there, wildfire smoke can emanate throughout the city and it can make it harder to breathe and can cause some conditions to flare up. So Gadi, if I may, I do have a KN95 here. I'm going to be wearing this as soon as I step out of this shot. I recommend everybody with chronic disease and everybody who just wants to be as safe as possible, put one of these on, even if you aren't in the immediate vicinity there, Gadi.
That's such a good advice. Is there any chance that you'll have to evacuate? I mean, it's hard to tell how close those flames are, but that's not a photo lens you've got there. That's just like a normal camera, right?
It's an iPhone, yeah. It's the city of Santa Monica tweeted not too long ago that there's no risk. You can see there's an Amber Alert actually coming on my screen as I'm speaking right now. Wow. So I'll go ahead and read that in a moment. But it's city of Santa Monica saying not too long ago for evacuation here, but of course we're ready to go at a moment's notice. Got it?
Yeah, and it's a situation that everybody in SoCal is in right now with these high winds, dangerous conditions everywhere, and then you've got a ridge burning behind you. I can't imagine. Dr. Ashraf, thank you so much for being here, and we'll be checking back with you in a little while. Thank you. And our NBC station is NBC LA here in Los Angeles has been providing a lot of coverage as well. I think this might be one of their cameras or one of our cameras, but you're looking at the ridge as we speak. These are live shots of the Pacific Palisades hillsides burning. You've got, this is KNBC, this is NBC Los Angeles. So if we can, let's boost that audio and listen in.
Rescued, but we did see that home appear to burn down, and we left there just shortly after.
Hey, Tracy, before we let you go here, and we appreciate this, how has the situation changed here over the course of the last 30 minutes? Has it become more intense, more aggressive?
Yeah, it's become more aggressive. It's become more intense. You know, what's difficult is this smoke. I mean, when we first arrived, it was difficult to see. The sky was gray. It was smoky. But now it's completely black. You can't even see. You can barely see maybe 30 feet ahead of you. So that's a big concern if you're driving here and you need to get out. Sean's showing you the beach right now. The beach completely covered with smoke. You can see those embers continue to fly. It looks like they're landing on the sand right now. But these winds, they are so extreme. It's even difficult for me to stand and hold my ground because they just come and they kind of come, they're really intense. As soon as they hit you, it's almost like a force that you just got to hold yourself up. But it only seems to getting a lot more aggressive as the time goes on, Michael and Colleen.
Oh, we definitely see that, Tracy. And I want to remind people, as we look at you, you're in a parking lot here. That area behind you where we see all those cars racing by, that is PCH, Pacific Coast Highway. That is closed all the way from roughly the tunnel or Lincoln all the way to Topanga Canyon. What you're seeing in the back there are people evacuating and first responders, and obviously you see a lot of them with lights and sirens going.
All right, Tracy, appreciate it. Thank you. It's 5:30, and we are continuing our coverage of the Palisades fire. We have been on the air bringing you live team coverage now
with a man by the name of Adam Handler. He was forced to evacuate, leave his car behind. You see that bulldozer coming through, pushing those cars. And Adam, if you're with us, I think one of those cars is one of the ones that was bulldozed, right? Can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, that's the black Audi is our car.
So sorry.
So my wife and I and our dog were in the car, and we were trying to evacuate when some flames came to a palm tree right next to us, and some other ground flames were like 10 or 20 feet away. And a policeman started telling everybody, get out of your car, leave your car if you want to live. If this thing goes any further, you know, the cars are going to be engulfed in flame. So we grabbed our dog, we left the car, and you know, walked with our dog down to PCH, and there was like fires around, tremendous amount of smoke, and you know, burning embers on the ground. It was pretty scary, but we got out okay, and we're fine. But the car obviously did not survive, but you know, kind of a small loss all things considered.
Yeah, I mean, that is quite the perspective. But then to see that must be so difficult, especially after everything you went through. So did it sound like were they directing you to the beach? Were you in eye shot of the beach? Could you see the beach, or did you have to get past some of the fire on foot?
We were, where that shot is taken, the car was actually on Sunset Boulevard, right at the corner of Palisades Drive. And it's maybe half a mile to the beach, but, you know, that was the direction away from the fire, and that's also the direction where, you know, if you go the other direction, you walk a couple miles before you hit anything other than other houses. So that would be the direction everybody was walking that direction. And there were lots of people there, you know, lots of pets, and pretty much everybody was going down to the beach. Fortunately, my wife and I were both out, and I had parked someplace else on PCH because I couldn't get to her. And so we were actually walking down to PCH to get to my car. And so that was for both of our cars. But so we actually had a place to go, so we had a car to get into. But,
And it's so hard to really gauge time in a situation like that, but how long do you think all this took? Like, how fast did this escalate?
So as I was walking up to, her and our dog in the car, I started seeing, wow, so some fires there. It's getting close. Oh, there's a palm tree, catching on fire. And then I got into the car and I said, let's go. And it was only like a minute or two later that we were like looking to our right and we said, oh my God, look how close the flames are. And that's when I forget whether it was a policeman or fireman, I think it was a policeman, said to everybody, just get out, leave the car, get out. And we were wondering what they were going to do with all the cars because, it was, Sunset Boulevard was a parking lot, and, but now we know they use the bulldozer. So.
Yeah. I'm so sorry for what you went through today, but I am happy to hear your voice and our condolences for the car that we're seeing there on the screen. But your lives are so precious and really glad you got out okay.
Yeah, I mean, we had when I was a kid, my house burned down. And so, as long as our house is safe, people are safe. Cars a small loss. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are having, you're seeing so many people whose houses have burned and schools have burned. It's really awful.
Yeah. Is your house in the evacuation zone? Is it up in the hills?
Oh, yes. It's at the top of the hill, only maybe a quarter mile from where the fire started.
Oh, my gosh.
And, we've seen pictures of like a house just like the next block over where they were fighting the fire in the backyard. The backyard is just brush, just Temescal Canyon. So we've seen that. I think a friend of mine further down the hill, his house burned down. I think the local church burned. So it's been pretty tragic, and it's amazing seeing it on the news. Just all this stuff happening.
Yeah. I mean, we had heard rumors about the church. We have not confirmed that yet. But did you see that with you?
I've not seen it with my own eyes, but the fire was like surrounding it when we left. Mm-hmm. And what we've heard from people who haven't evacuated is that our particular street at the top of the canyon is fine now, or is currently fine. And so hopefully it'll stay like that. We're right next to a Los Angeles Department of Water and Power pump station. Mm-hmm. So if that pump station burns, there's no water in the highlands, so that would be bad. But thank God things seem to be okay where we are, and hopefully they'll get the fire contained soon.
Yeah, and I'm praying that they have the resources up there to protect your home, that pump station, and everybody else's home around yours. Thank you so much for joining us, and again, we're so glad you're safe. And turning now to Liz Kreutz, who has been there throughout the day. She has had fire all around her, at one point inside of her car. And now I believe, Liz, you've made your way to the PCH down there by the beach. You've got this orange glow behind you. What's going on?
Yeah. Well, hey, Gadi, we have this bright orange glow there, flames there in the distance that have made their way to the coast, all up that ridge. There's homes on the ridge there as well. We've seen the flames. Again, we know that multiple homes have burned, and that just continues to happen as the winds are pushing the flames towards the coast here. I mean, it is just, someone said, like apocalyptic Armageddon. It is dark. There's this dark plume of smoke. It is so eerie here. We had to make our way south to where we are now because just about a mile north, it was calm. It was fine. We thought we had sort of gotten out of the worst area that we had been stuck in for hours today. When then, one ember got blown, and we just saw it hit and ignite a palm tree. And within 5 minutes, all 5 of the palm trees there were up in flames. The ridge was up in flames, and a cop had come through on a speaker saying, you guys need to get out. That's how fast this thing is moving.
For anybody who hasn't seen a palm tree burn, they are like massive matchsticks. That's the only way I can describe it when you see all of it just go up. And it's just this kind of torch up in the sky. Liz, we were hearing that there is fire on 2 sides of the Gadi. Do you know what's happening up on the ridge right now? Do you know what's happening at the Gadi?
At the Gadi Villa, yeah, we're hearing those reports as well. And we know there's a report out there that the fire department has said that part of the villa at least might be on fire, maybe the area around it. We're also seeing some conflicting reports that it may be that folks are confused and it's a different villa. So I think that's still to be determined. Again, things are just really unfolding. We do know, Gadi, though, I mean, it's windy right now, and it's just going to get worse with the strongest wind still to come starting at 10 tonight. It's 5:30 now. It feels so strong right now, and it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, it sure is. Liz Kreutz, really appreciate your reporting. We'll be checking back with you in just a bit, so please don't go anywhere. We also have Jacob Soboroff, who joins us now live. Jacob, I just saw you here at the Bureau a little while ago. You're out there on the fire lines. What have you seen, and what did you see going? Did you go around through Malibu? Did you go down Sunset? What's it looking like?
Now, Gadi, we came, for people who don't know, the Universal Bureau, our bureau at NBC News Los Angeles, about 20 miles from where I'm standing right now in Pacific Palisades. This is the neighborhood that I grew up in, Gadi. I was born and raised here. I went to school just down this way. My house was on the other side of that ridge right there that me and my four siblings came of age in. And what you're looking at right now is the ridge between what's called the Palisades Riviera and Will Rogers State Park. It is a big, beautiful park there over the ridge, and right now it's entirely engulfed in flames. The Palisades is a wonderful community. It's a coastal community. It's a place where about 23,000 people live and work. It is a vibrant part of the city of Los Angeles, and unlike some of these wildfires that we have seen in the past, where, of course, and I don't want to minimize it, we have seen casualties and we have seen homes burn, this is a massive wildfire in an urban setting. It's in the city of Los Angeles, in a place where there are thousands and thousands of homes. The places where you've heard Liz report from this evening, and Chase as well, are parts of the Palisades Highlands, where there are very few ways in and out, which is why you've seen such extraordinary gridlock. Here at the corner of Amalfi Drive and Sunset Boulevard, you continue to see cars come and round that bend and then turn right around and come out because, as I said, much of Pacific Palisades, California tonight, in the heart of the city of Los Angeles, is on fire, Gadi.
I'm so sorry, Jacob, for what you're going through, because, I mean, this is where you grew up, and I hate to ask, but you said your childhood home is, and then you pointed in the direction of the flames. Like, do you know how your home is?
Look, I want to be very clear. Our thoughts are with everybody who's out here tonight in the Palisades. But what I've been told is part of the area. I grew up close to the Palisades Highlands, where those fires are ablaze right now, and I don't know what's going on up there. Just like the rest of the people who are down here closer to sea level tonight. But I think when the sun comes up tomorrow morning, after the winds continue to get more and more intense tonight, there's going to be a lot of damage for all of us to survey. I've got family members that evacuated tonight, just like thousands of people here on the west side of Los Angeles.
And the night is nowhere close to over. And Jacob, so you're standing next to Sunset. That area, at least part of Sunset, closer to the beach, I believe that's where the bulldozer was going through. Are people still able to evacuate freely there, or are there roadblocks?
We've been seeing, Gadi, people come in and out both directions at this part of Sunset Boulevard. Just for perspective of people in our audience tonight, where I am standing is in between Pacific Palisades and Brentwood, California. On the other side of where I am, if you continue going this way, on the other side of that ridge is what's called the Palisades Village. And if you continue down Sunset Boulevard through the Palisades Village, you'll hit big canyons like Temescal Canyon, which has been a primary route that people have been using to evacuate. Then you get down to the bottom of Sunset Boulevard and Pacific Coast Highway. Let's take a quick look here, Gadi, as we see a couple of units from the Los Angeles City Fire Department, I believe, that are coming in right now. Los Angeles Fire Department, 88 and 92 coming in from all parts of the city. So this is, I should also mention, a citywide tactical alert, Gadi. The Los Angeles Police Department is on a citywide tactical alert, which means all of the police officers in Los Angeles are called to duty tonight. It is a all-hands-on-deck, mutual aid type of situation where you have got law enforcement agencies from all over Southern California, firefighting agencies, aircraft coming in to contribute to this effort here tonight.
And we've also heard the governor has declared a state of emergency here in California. And yet, every time you see those engines going towards that fire, all of Southern California right now, at least a very large part of it, is in the direct line of these Santa Ana winds. So just praying that nothing happens elsewhere. Jacob, if we still have you there, just one other question about the ability to get out of that area. For those that may not have already evacuated, are there still a lot of choke points if we start to see that fire really descend down past the ridge, that you see it right there, and make its way and start ripping through some of those neighborhoods? Are there ways to get out quickly, or should people just be leaving right now?
I can't stress enough, and I have a text thread going with my own family, how important it is to get out right now if you live in or around these areas. The wind is of a nature that you don't often see here in Southern California, which is why it was that life-threatening alert that was put out earlier this morning by the National Weather Service. When I woke up this morning, my 9-year-old son, before we took him to school, he said, "Dad, look outside, look at the wind." We don't often see things like this here, which means that it can change on a dime at a moment's notice. Right now, the wind seems to be going in a southwesterly direction, which means if it jumps Sunset Boulevard and goes this way, it goes into what's known as Rustic Canyon, a very densely populated canyon in between Sunset Boulevard and Pacific Coast Highway, right at the intersection of Chautauqua and Pacific Coast Highway. All of those people are in jeopardy, and if they're not already out of their homes, they should leave now. There's a gentleman who I just spoke to who was in this house who was considering leaving. Gadi, if you can take a look across the street, there's a man right there packing up his car with his mother and his dog. They're considering getting out. The bottom line is, now is the time to go. If you are living in this part of Pacific Palisades or any part of Pacific Palisades, it is a mandatory evacuation order. Not only the governor has said this, the chief of the LA City Fire Department has said this. It is time to get out if you haven't left yet.
Jacob Soboroff, reporting from the fire lines, while worried about his family that's also going through all of this. Jacob, thank you so much. Let's go over to our NBC station here in Los Angeles, NBC LA. They're in wall-to-wall coverage tonight. I believe Robert Kovacic is on the ground reporting right now. Let's listen.
Evacuate. They were stationed at Palisades and Highlands, which we're going to show you. But again, this is now, we are about 8 hours since this happened. And it is worth looking at again because this sort of defines exactly what this firefight has looked like all day. And as you mentioned, Colleen, you don't like to use the word explode. We don't use it lightly, but this is a fire that exploded. These are the cars still here that were abandoned because people feared the fire was coming too close. And these are the cars that now were severely damaged by the bulldozer that had no choice but to come over here and clear them out of the way so they can continue this firefight. A firefight right now that is traveling in so many directions. And just like these cars here, again, we are so far from figuring out where we need to go, what direction we need to go, and where we need to end up when it comes to trying to get a handle on this fire. Containment, I will tell you, must be next to impossible because there's no possible way to even see a containment line. There you see, this is the intersection of Highlands and Sunset. That is the fire that continues to burn here. When we saw you last time, we saw that apartment complex. It is right below those flames, an apartment complex, once again, that just stands in harm's way, like so many structures here on the west side of Los Angeles. Let's go back to you.
All right, Robert, thank you. Robert mentioned containment. You can't even figure out what the leading edge is on that fire. And Sunset almost looked like it had molten lava rolling down it. Our Karma Dickerson is live now. She's moved. She's along Vista Grande Drive at this point. Karma?
Just a few minutes from where we were coming to you from before, Colleen, and this is a really important place we're coming to you from because it gives you an idea of the big picture. As we've seen fire after fire, spot after spot, hillside after hillside, it's hard to get an idea of the breadth of the destruction and the threat here. We want to give you a look at this view, and that really helps put it in perspective. We're taking a look down from Vista Grande Drive to Enchanted Way, where the neighbor here tells us that the fire has been burning largely unchecked all day. He's looking at homes he's looked at since his childhood. This is his childhood home, and he's watching them burn below. And so to understand a little bit more about what we're taking a look at and how this all unfolded today, I want to introduce you to Brant and Didden. Thank you so much. I know you grew up here. Your parents still live here, and you guys were here as it unfolded today.
Yeah, we were coming home early this morning, and we first saw the smoke off PCH, and then by the time we were coming up the hill, there was large flames up above Temescal, and I'd say within probably an hour and a half, this hillside right below our house and our neighbor's house were on fire.
Okay, so let's take a look at this hillside as you're explaining to us about what exactly you found. For example, the house just below you burned.
Yeah, it's completely gone. It's an older house. It's got a lot of wooden eaves, and the deck's caught fire. It's vacant. We tried to put out some spot fires, but there really wasn't anything we could do.
In the darkness and the smoke, we can only really see the glow of the flames below. What have you been looking at all day in terms of what has burned over there?
Well, like you said, Enchanted Way, I've seen from the top all the way down. Now there's probably 8 or 10 homes. I don't know the exact number. That's my guesstimate that are on fire. You can see Paseo Miramar over there. I'd say there's at least 6 or 8 homes there. And then Highlands, the Palisades Highlands going up Palisades Drive, both sides of the canyon are on fire.
To help orient people, you're telling us the ocean is this way. It's over to the right-hand side of the screen.
Correct. Yeah, this is all Santa Monica Bay, excuse me.
And so what have these last few hours been like for you? I understand you were fighting for the home yourself.
Yeah, the last few hours have been pretty mellow. This morning was very hectic, but luckily an engine pulled up just in the nick of time and pulled hoses around the house, and we were able to kind of keep things safe for us, so that was amazing. Engine 98, LA Fire Department for Pacoima, thank you guys.
Fantastic. But as we're standing here and we can barely keep our feet rooted because of this heavy wind, the way it's whipping, what does the rest of the night look like for you?
Well, it looks like the water just went out, so I was planning on just working embers and spot fires. At this point, I guess I'll have to find a shovel. The engines are gone, the winds are picking up. Luckily, most of the fuel around our house is already burned, so I'm just hoping for a miracle.
Your parents did safely make it out, though, correct?
Yeah, we got them out with the dogs early, and so they're fine. They're at my brother's house. Yeah.
Lastly, if things take a turn, do you have a plan? What are you going to do? Do you have a backup for if things start to get out of control for you?
Yeah, just get out. I've got my car in the driveway ready to go. Hopefully it won't come to that, but we'll see.
Thank you so much, Brant. Good luck to you tonight. Thank you for allowing us back here to your home in this very difficult time. Guys, you could probably hear how the wind is picking up. It's hard to even stay on our feet at this point. And so you can see what firefighters are up against as they are trying to battle the flames in a pretty chaotic situation. How do you even begin to get a handle on flames when they are whipping around you at every step? So,
and that's just another incredible report from our sister station over here in Los Angeles, NBC Los Angeles. Bring in national climate reporter Chase Kane, who is also on the fire lines for us. Chase, what are things looking like right now? I mean, there's been so much talk of the Gadi Villa. Any update as to what's going on up on the ridge?
Yeah, Gadi, some good news. It sounds like the Gadi Villa itself and the collections inside are safe, although you see there's ambulances and some fire trucks here behind me. I was told that a firefighter was injured at somewhere here in the area. We're in Pacific Palisades, right where Sunset meets the Pacific Coast Highway. these winds are picking up again. I was able to see the firefighter they were treating. It looked like he was, alert and moving, which is a good sign. So unsure exactly what happened there, but there was now at least one firefighter that's been hurt battling these numerous fires. We're calling it the Palisades fire as if it's just one, but it's really just a bunch of different fires that have been burning all over because these winds are picking up those embers and blowing like we've been talking about all evening, Gadi. Yes, the Gadi Villa, as you were asking about, this is north up the Pacific Coast Highway. The Gadi Villa is maybe a half mile from where we are. A little earlier, we saw a lot of fire crews, a lot of fire trucks rushing in that direction. We've since seen most of those come back this way. The Gadi Villa put out a statement saying that the building, the collections are safe, but there were flames burning on the property, burning around the Gadi Villa. So it was sounds like it was a very close call there for what's really a well-known landmark here in Los Angeles, Gadi.
Yeah, a lot of landmarks that people are talking about right now. That's one of them. There is also a church up there that we've heard may have been surrounded by flames, possibly threatened, possibly now gone. Do you know anything about any churches or even fire stations? Because that's another thing that pictures are starting to be posted of what could be both of those things. Any word?
Guy, I'm sorry, the signal was breaking up there a little bit. As you've noticed, we've had some communication issues. I mean, the buildings here behind me, there's power on there. This is Sunset Boulevard, but just on the other side, it's completely dark. That's because we actually watch power crews come and turn off the power in this area. There's a gas station there. There's a Vons grocery store, a condo building. They shut off power to that entire area. I mean, on a normal day, this would be a lively, vibrant place along the Pacific Coast Highway. You could see downtown Santa Monica, but right now it really just looks like a black hole with the occasional fire truck coming through. Again, we're getting another one of these wind gusts of 60 miles an hour. Bill Cairns was telling us earlier, we can expect them to potentially be 80 or 100 miles an hour overnight. That's hurricane force wind gusts. So it's just difficult to think about in such a beautiful place and a place that I know you also call home, Gadi, what could happen overnight with winds getting even stronger than they are right now.
Is there any word on how far north the fire has progressed at this point?
My best understanding is that there were spot fires just north of the Gadi Villa, which I believe would be right around the line of where Pacific Palisades transitions to Malibu. The winds where we are, it's hard to tell the exact direction because Sunset Boulevard sort of acts like a funnel, accelerating the winds as it's coming down through the canyon. But I believe the winds are coming out of the northwest. So that means that the fire would likely not be burning farther. But again, it's hard to say right now. We're kind of limited in our ability to see and our ability to get information here, Gadi.
Chase Kane, really appreciate you out there watching this for us. Let's bring in NBC's medical fellow, Dr. Akshay Sayal. We've just checked with him. I believe you're on the roof of, I think, your home in Santa Monica, and you're able to see what's going on behind you. What does it look like at this hour?
Hey, Gadi, so you can see the flames right there. That is the Palisades. So for those who aren't familiar with L.A., Santa Monica is just south of the Pacific Palisades, and you can see the fires burning just over my shoulder there. And Gadi, really what I've been watching, I've been home today, sort of keeping an eye on this. And what we've seen is that this whole, you can't see it now because it's dark, but this entire area was just shrouded in smoke. You couldn't even see the sunset. You see just completely shrouded here. And what we're really worried about, Gadi, is, I practice at UCLA Health. We are worried about people with lung disease, people with asthma, chronic lung disease like COPD, people with heart disease. Some of those fine particles from the smoke getting into their lungs and getting into their bodies and causing damage. So if I may, Gadi, just take a moment here to encourage all people to put on one of these, a KN95. I'll be wearing one as soon as I get off of here tonight. It can really help stop some of those small particles from getting inside your respiratory system. Gadi.
Wow. And the last time we checked in with you, I believe there was some sort of alert coming in on your phone for the residents of Santa Monica, or at least where you live. What was that about?
That was Topanga Canyon, just a little bit north to where Chase was, who just did the wonderful live shot there. That's a little bit closer to where he is. The city of Santa Monica is still saying that there's no immediate threat to Santa Monica this time. But, of course, I am packed and ready to go at a moment's notice.
Good to hear. And you can always stay over here on this side of town. Dr. Akshay Sayal, thank you so much, and stay safe tonight.
Thank you.
Liz Kreutz joins us now from PCH, Pacific Coast Highway down there. Liz, I mean, what's the situation? I believe that you're at a command post, right? Is that where the fire department is staging some of the incident?
Yeah, hey, Gadi, I'm going to take my mask off for a moment. It's just so windy. There's so much debris that's being thrown around. That's why we have our PPE on, of course, and just the conditions here extraordinarily smoky. We are at what appears to be now the major staging area for all of the first responders here. We are seeing just a massive flow of first responders coming here, firefighters, police officers arriving from L.A. As you mentioned earlier, there's a tactical alert here, so we're getting resources from across the county and then also across the region here because we are under a state of emergency now here in the state. Before, when we talked to you, we saw that big glow in the background. We're not seeing that anymore, so the hope is that maybe firefighters are able to get that under control at the moment. But there's so much concern as these winds continue to pick up. And earlier, we were about a mile north, like we told you, and we just saw how quickly this fire moves. We thought we were in a safe space. The winds blew an ember. It sparked a palm tree to go up in flames. And immediately we were told to get out. And we recorded this video as we got out of that area driving south on the Pacific Coast Highway. The ocean right there to our right. This is the beautiful Will Rogers Beach State Park right now that's been turned into a staging area for all of those that are trying to battle these flames right now. And earlier, Gadi, like we told you, we got stuck like all those people in that bumper-to-bumper gridlock traffic. And it was really scary for us and for all those folks that were trying to get out at a moment's notice.
Yeah, I mean, I saw those palm trees on fire. I think that's that's where I learned how to surf, and it's just so weird to know, like, your surfing spot is on fire. That is just a crazy sign of the times there. Liz, in the area that you're in right now, does it seem like most people have heeded the evacuation warnings?
Yeah, you know, when we first got to this area, we spent hours in gridlock traffic we were in that area where the cars had to be bulldozed down to be able to make a path. That's actually how we were then able to get out, was because that path was created. And then we got to PCH, the Pacific Coast Highway, and there was, again, bumper-to-bumper traffic as people went south towards Santa Monica. But now it's let up, and well, actually, I'm seeing some traffic right now, but for the most part, it's let up. I think people evacuated, they heeded the warnings, and they've gotten out. I think that's the #1 thing that officials are saying, is if you are told to evacuate, get out. And thankfully, we seem to see people doing that, although you just saw this, it's windy here, that gentleman biking by with his phone. There's always those folks that like to come out and get views on social media that are driving out, trying to get content online to show what's going on.
Yeah, the worst possible way to chase clout there. And in terms of the firefighters, that we heard Chase say that at least one of them was hurt. Do we have any update on how firefighters are doing, or is that the only injury that's been reported so far?
Right now, that's the only injury we've heard of. We know, I mean, it's remarkable, Gadi, when officials said that there's been no reported injuries of residents at this moment because of the fact of how fast this fire came, how quickly folks had to get out. Obviously, we'll see how this develops, especially throughout the night as people are able to get into some more of the impacted areas. Oh, right now, we're getting a warning going off. Let me see what it says. It's away, but basically we're getting an evacuation warning that's been going off all day, is telling us about this windstorm, to be prepared, to have a go bag, because the winds are just going to pick up. The worst winds expected starting at 10 p.m. tonight. It's 6 o'clock. It already feels bad, so it's pretty crazy to think it's just going to get worse, Gadi.
Yeah, just going to get worse. The wind's picking up out here, too. And just a reminder that all across Los Angeles, this is something that can happen at a moment's notice, in the hills, in somebody's backyard. We've seen it in neighborhoods. We've seen it in dense vegetation, light vegetation. So if you do live in Los Angeles, live around here, you want to have that go bag ready. This isn't just for the people that live in the Palisades. It's really for anyone, anywhere here in Los Angeles. That's going to do it for us tonight. I'm Gadi Schwartz. This is Stay Tuned. We'll see you here tomorrow with much more coverage. But until that coverage, this breaking news stories continues on NBC News Now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app, or follow us on social media.